Welcome everyone to episode 4 of the Natty Talk podcast with our boy Nick from Hercules Fit, and of course my co-host Aidan and your boy Natty Life. Hello. We obviously have to start with the literal elephant in the room. This man who is quite literally the size of a baby elephant, Hercules Fit. He is absolutely massive, and as a quick disclaimer, we are assuming that he's natural, and he's a friend of ours, and he's been a supporter of our YouTube. He's a very nice guy. We want you to hear him out, but obviously he looks freaky, and it's understandable that at first glance some people might not think he's natural. So we're going to make a case here for why he could be natural. We're going to be showing you some photos of when he was younger. And we're also going to be making some comparisons with some old school bodybuilders. So hear him out before you run to the comments and type "not natty," blah, 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 right? And Hercules, why don't you introduce yourself briefly and maybe tell us a little bit about your training history.
Okay. Well, first, let me start off by saying thank you for having me on the podcast, man. I watch all your videos, and I really do like all of your stuff. I started training. Well, I'll start off with a little bit before then. I started a YouTube channel back in 2020, Hercules Fit, mainly because people just always called me Hercules when I was like a little 13-year-old. Yeah, so I just was like, Hercules Fit it is. And I just always have had a passion for bodybuilding. I grew up with my dad having bodybuilding magazines around the house. And I just always, worked out and just stayed in shape. So it's always been like a passion of mine. And I'm just here to try to, I don't know. I was gonna say something like motivation or something, but I mean, we all like bodybuilding. We all like to work out.
Yeah,
so
we're just here to talk shit, really.
Now, let's get fuck all that.
Let's get into it. Well, I suppose we should hit on the juiciest topic. We'll come back to you, Herc, and we'll come back to your training history, because I know there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about there. But real quick, you got called out by someone on YouTube recently. Yeah. Our boy Dylan Mcknight with his, he was calling you not natty.
What is?
Burn. The most egregious part of that video wasn't even calling you not natty, but his dissing of the 8 to 12 rep range for... What do you guys think of that?
It's a baseless claim, too.
8 to 12 reps is high reps, and you can't get jacked on that unless you're fucking on roll. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you were saying you have to do something like between 3 to 7 reps, right? And 8 to 12, that's just high reps. That doesn't work.
Right. That's just pumping work. Only those growing guys do that.
He started out the video, was he talking about, oh, you can't get as big as possible on 8 to 12, and then he all of a sudden shifts it in the middle of the short to this is why you're not strong, and it's like, what are we talking about?
Dude, I'm stronger than you. I've got a 405 bench from benching in the 8 to 12 rep range, so I don't even train at the power.
It happened.
But he was pretty much saying that 1 to 7 is that's the strength rep range, and if you train in the 1 to 7 rep range, you get strength, and anything above 7 is just high reps, and it's pretty much just why would you train in that when you get the same thing with 1 to 7, which is for strength, when in reality you can build muscle. We all know anywhere from 5 to 30 reps or whatever the science says. And because I made a comment on one of his videos a couple months back saying that because he was dissing he really doesn't like on the 8 to 12 rep range. I noticed that, but he was the 8 to 12 rep range. He was like, stop. Yeah.
Weird thing to hate on.
8 to 12 reps. It's why you're not getting jacked, because I talk like this and I want to go to sleep. But he was, and I commented, I was like, I've been doing 8-12 reps for like over 10 years now. It works great for me. And like a bunch of his like, subscribers liked it. And I guess it triggered him, because you go to the comments to that video,
it triggered
everybody was like, because Aidan actually showed me the comments. I was like, damn, like this dude has a lot of haters from his own camp. I was like, shit.
They were saying he said a lot without saying anything. Like he just talked and didn't explain anything.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, I'm still a minute of the short.
That's the freaking source.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe bringing it back to you, Herc. I was watching some of your videos today when you were talking about your beginnings and everything, and you said you were telling a story about getting bullied in school, and then you had like a gun pulled on you and everything. Do you maybe want to share that here on the podcast?
I did not hear about this.
I thought that was a really cool story.
Yeah. So like a lot of people, you start lifting from a standpoint of it's usually something that you want, like you want to get girls or become more attractive to girls, something like that, or bullies, or just get in shape, something like that, because that's constantly shown to us in the media, like the underdog story or whatnot. And I'm gonna be honest, like I was really no different. So I started off lifting at really about 13, but I typically say 14 because that's when I actually learned how to lift properly from my dad. But right around like that 14 or really like that 13 time, I had been bullied in school like that because I'm naturally a more reserved, quiet person, believe it or not. You never would know it, with us talking, I just never was, I was always more like the outsider. Like I kind of just did my own thing. And, some people would try to take advantage of that or whatnot, ain't nobody gonna bully me now. I'll whoop your ass now. But back then, it was a different story. And I remember one time, I must have been like, man, I don't remember how old I was, like 13, 14. I usually had to ride my bike to school, which I'll get into this, later when I tell like my training and stuff. But I would ride my bike to the gym. It was like 4 miles, like round trip. There was this dude at my school. I don't know if he was a gang member. I don't know what the hell he had going on or whatever. But he just didn't like me. He just never freaking liked me. And I was riding my bike on the sidewalk, and he was like him and like some of his buddies. It was probably like 9 o'clock at night. I remember it was like right before spring break, and dude just like pulls like a gun out the window. It was like, want to fight? That's literally what he said. And like I just shrugged it off and just kept riding my bike or whatever. But kind of had me like a little bit shook. And from that day forward, I was like, I got to get big. I was like, if I was like super freaking big, like my brain, I'm like, maybe that would have went a little bit differently. Maybe he would have been like, I'm even not even going to do that because, I'm going to see this dude at school and, he might knock me out or stuff like that. Not saying that big muscles automatically, means you know how to fight. But yeah, that was pretty much how that story went. And, I started, lifting from a little bit before then. And I really didn't know how to work out like a lot of people do when you first go to the gym. And kind of just asked around like dudes at the gym, like, hey, how do you do this? Or, hey, how do you do that? Some people give good advice, some people don't. And, but I'll get more into that later. But yeah, that's pretty much how that story started.
Yeah, I suppose that's that put quite a fire under your ass, right? Having people treat you badly like that and really pushed you to get the best out of yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And then nothing like that's ever happened again, right? I assume.
No.
So
ain't nobody.
Now they see you on the street and they're like, I don't even want to go at this guy with a gun.
Like a gun ain't enough. We need some like intercontinental missile or
something.
Need a
fucking rocket launcher.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how big are you now, Herc? What are your stats?
Right now I am 220. My weight fluctuates between 215 and 225. So I'm like more on like the bulking side of things, closer to 225, and more when I'm like trying to lean down, get leaner, more around 215. But usually I'm kind of in the middle around 220.
Right.
And I'm 6 foot tall.
Yeah. And like, do you have any measurements, you know, like off the top of your head?
Only measurement I ever did for my arms, and last time I measured them, they were 19.5 inches relaxed, so and about 20 was a pump.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. So, you know, you hear these numbers and you think, that's impossible, right? But, you know, we can compare Herc's stats to some older lifters from the silver era, from the bronze era. You know, I mean, you've got George Hackenschmidt, which I'm sure everyone knows, a guy from before steroids even existed, not a question of this guy's natural status. And he was 5'9", so significantly shorter than Herc, and 220, so similar weight, much shorter. And, you know, Hackenschmidt, he had abs, he had 18-inch arms and stuff. So, you know, just in terms of FFMI, in terms of weight, in terms of pure muscle mass, I mean, it's entirely possible. Herman Gerner, also 6'3", 260 pounds with abs, absolutely freaky guy. And of course, Leroy Colbert, we're not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, but 5'9", 210, 21-inch arms, natural. So,
crazy.
You know, we have these examples throughout history of people who, through whatever combination of excellent genetics and hard work, managed to achieve things which people think are impossible. And so, you know, it's, in my opinion, it's entirely within the realm of reason that Hercules would be one of these people. What do you think, Aidan?
So I think a lot of people, they might look at him and go straight to the biceps, because that's like his genetic strong point, at least from what I'm seeing, right? They'll go straight to the biceps and then go, oh, he's not natty because of that. But it's like everybody's going to hold like their lean mass differently, right? So even his stats are like comparable to those guys, but his biceps are way better than most of those guys. So
yeah.
I don't think it would be like a gotcha, he's on steroids kind of thing, but some people might treat it that way. They just see like gigantic developed arms and they think, oh, that's it.
So, Herc, do you deal with
definitely? That's 100%.
Do you deal with steroid accusations a lot?
The only time I really started getting those, and obviously I'm sure people always, you know, probably thought that I was on, you know, probably the last couple of years at least. But it's really only been since I got on YouTube. Like, you know, when I was like, because I've only been on YouTube since like 2020. It was like right after the, I don't know if you could say it, the virus or whatever.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't until I got on YouTube. Because before then, you know, people just see me in the gym and be like, oh man, you know, that guy's jacked, you know, what's your workout plan, you know, the normal stuff. But as soon as I got on YouTube, that's when, you know, I'd get comments on like my videos of oh, that's not natty. You can't look like that, natty. Like you would motherfucking know. You know what I mean? So but yeah, it's really when I started getting on YouTube the last couple of years.
And that's because they can hide behind the anonymity and just no profile picture.
Exactly.
It's like in the gym, no one's gonna block
you never see that profile photos.
Yeah, it's always
like they got like one sub. It's probably like their mom or something. They're probably like in their mom's basement with like Cheeto stains on their fingers, like on their drawers and shit, watching porn or something. But like it's never like motherfucking like people with profiles of themselves. It's always that, you know, have no profile.
Absolutely, yeah, I've noticed that as well, and yeah, and we've discussed that before, but it's so true. I mean, it's the anonymity, you know, like kind of how people get like road rage in the car, right? Because they're like not face to face, like they're behind the windscreen, and the internet is that like times 100, right? So yeah,
it is.
That level of anonymity just gives people so much confidence to start talking shit.
Gives people keyboard courage.
Yeah, keyboard warriors, yeah. So, Herc, you've also got a couple degrees, right? So you're not just some meathead guy. You're actually pretty smart. Yeah, you mog us both intellectually and physically. So, do you want to? Is that what you've got behind you there? Is that one of your?
That's one of them I've got. That's my strength and conditioning. Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up. I do have multiple degrees. Well, really one degree and one certification. I have a bachelor's in exercise science, clinical exercise physiology from a 4-year university. And I also am a certified strength and conditioning specialist which is the one that I've got behind me right there. You know, like a lot of people, you know, see somebody with like, it's like big with muscles or whatever. And, you know, you have the stereotype, oh, they must be a freaking idiot or whatever. And they just, you know, and that's like all they fucking do. They don't know how to do anything else. Yeah, like they're just like, and they see me and it's like, oh, he must be like some big, dumb, you know, Cali muscle, you know, muscle bound
so
dude.
Silly to think that.
Yeah, just because somebody has, you know, is jacked or whatever. But, you know, but yeah, I have, you know, a 4-year degree, and I also have a certification as a certified strength and conditioning specialist.
Right. And so you train people, right? Is that what you do as your job?
Yeah, it's one of the things I do is personal training. I've been doing it for about 8 years now.
All right, cool. Yeah, awesome. And so I wanted to ask you about your diet. Like, Aidan and I are not particularly like strict about our diets. Aidan is like a bit more than me, at least in terms of like counting calories and stuff. What's your take on diet? Like, do you meticulously count and like weigh everything, or how do you do it?
No, I've always been more of an intuitive eater, I guess you could say. You know, I think that there's like if I'm training somebody, I'll get them in the habit of, you know, tracking, you know, calories and stuff like that, and tracking what they eat, and, you know, so that way they get the habit of doing it, and they can understand, you know, different food groups and, you know, carbs, fats, proteins, stuff like that. But I've always been kind of more of the old school way of going about calories and stuff. Like if I'm bulking, I know, I'm being honest, I naturally eat a lot of food. So you kind of say I kind of live in a, you know, natural bulk, but you know, yeah. I'm like the original promo bulk dude. Like it's not hard at all for me to eat. Like I'd be fat as fuck if I didn't work out. But I've never really tracked calories like that. I always more so just looked at portion size and the foods that I was eating, and I kind of just tailor that to, you know, whatever it is I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to, you know, get leaner, you know, it's going to be lower calorie dense foods. Oh, I should get said for people in the comments, low calorie dense foods. Look. But and if I'm, you know, trying to bulk, obviously I'm gonna eat, you know, higher calorie dense foods, you know, less lean meat, stuff like that.
So you mentioned in one of your videos that you lost a lot of weight doing like a keto diet. Do you still do that, or how do you do it now? Like in terms of what you eat?
I did. I went from because I stopped lifting from 19 to 20. And I gained like 25 pounds of fat. And that's why when people see like that photo, like on my transformation, where I look like so much bigger, it was because I had gained all that weight from 19 to 20, and then I started back lifting again, got the muscle memory back, and that's pretty much how that started. But no, I don't currently do keto. I did use it to help me to lose weight because at the time I, you know, thought that lower carb was better than just, you know, eating a balanced diet and just, you know, being in a regular caloric deficit. But currently now I just eat, you know, from all the food groups. And like I said, if I want to gain or bulk, I'll eat higher calorie dense foods. And if I want to cut, I'll eat, you know, lower calorie.
Right. And
so this totally proves your theory, Natty Life, that training is the most important variable.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the muscle isn't built in the kitchen, you know? The food is important, but at the end of the day, the stimulus comes from lifting
always
weight.
Sketchy. It's always sketchy when people go, oh, it's 80% diet.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, well, for losing weight, but not building muscle. It's, you know, you need enough, you know, calories and protein and stuff, but once you check those boxes, you know, I wouldn't say it's 80%, not for building muscle, because it's you know, you can have the best diet in the world if you don't train right, train hard or consistently, you're gonna look the same.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. I think like most people are fat, and like most people's fitness goals are to lose weight. So, you know, maybe for most people it is usually diet what they need to fix. But like in our little circle of, you know, bodybuilders, like we're trying to get big. We're not trying to get smaller, right? So for us, it's clearly not 80% diet. It's more like 80% training. And, you know, the diet is like a constant that you need to have there. Like you gotta be in a surplus if you want to grow. Yeah, but
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
100%.
And do you eat a lot of meat, Herc? Do you have like a high protein diet?
I do. I do have a high protein diet. I do eat a lot of meat as well. So, I'm not gonna lie, I get hit with the butt what's the word? Because meat is pretty expensive here in the States. So yeah, I do eat a lot of meat, and I do try to get the leaner cuts of meat, just so I can, to help me, remain not fat or whatever. So, but yeah, I do eat a lot of meat.
So speaking of not being fat, Aidan, you are very fat now, and you said you're going to cut.
I am. Yeah, so basically I told myself I'd get down to this weight I'm at right now, and I'd maintain this, and basically I just got bored. So now I want to see, I want to cut down to like 10%, 9%, something like that, just to see how much I've built in like the past year. But yeah, that's another thing. I don't know if you get this, Herc, but like you just get bored sometimes if you're not like drastically changing something, or
if you're not yo-yo dieting.
Yeah, I'm a yo-yo dieter. What can I say?
Sounds so bad when you put it like that. But, yeah, I think especially like in our sphere of bodybuilding, where you're always supposed to be, making improvements. It's kind of just like in our DNA, like you just always want to improve. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't, be involved in an endeavor like this if you don't always want to improve. But yeah, I do, especially for me, because I find it harder to be lean than to be fat. Like if I didn't if I were to just be like the average person, it would be nothing for me to be like 30% body fat. Like I could eat like until I'm like, I don't know. I come from a family of like bigger people, so it's just easy for me to eat a lot. And it is kind of difficult to, I don't want to say be content, because I don't feel like I don't feel like I need any more muscle or anything like that, or anything like that. But you do find yourself wanting to improve. I guess you can say improve, and the obvious way to do that is to try to get leaner if you're not trying to just bulk.
Right.
Yeah.
Like losing fat is always much quicker than building muscle, right? So if you want to see like quick results, then in a couple weeks you can like radically change the way your physique looks just by losing a bit of fat. Right? Rush. Yeah. Whereas if you want to change the way your physique looks by putting muscle on, that's like a several-year-long process. But in like really 4 weeks, you can look like completely different, right? Just from losing some fat.
Right. You can shred down a lot just by cutting back on your food intake. Yeah. Absolutely.
So Aidan, are you gonna get to like the same level that you were? What was it, last year when you were like really lean?
Yeah. Last time it was pretty freaking light, so I was like 168 at the bottom of that cut. So I'm hoping
you're
this
like
time
shredded though.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were.
Like you could see in my face, I was getting like that skeleton face look. But yeah, maybe this time I think I'm 178 right now in the morning. So I think if I get to like 171, I'll be where I was there, because I wasn't even this lean yet last time in that cut when I got to this weight. So
you probably put on a couple
maybe
pounds
like
of
2
muscle,
pounds.
Right?
Yeah, and even if a lot of that's on my legs, because my legs have come up a lot recently from leg press and not being like so attached to only squatting, because I was always getting injured on squats. But yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping I at least put on like a pound or two of lean mass. But
maybe we can go on a little tangent there, because I've also you mentioned not being so attached to the squat for building legs. And I've also had a bit of that. I mean, obviously I didn't have my leg press machine before, so squats was pretty much the only exercise I could do. But now that I have my leg press, and I've also discovered these pendulum sissy squats, and I'm just like, which sounds
name is so funny.
It sounds like a real beta exercise, right? But I'm doing my pendulum sissy squats.
That's a hell of a name.
But I don't know. I've found some exercises where, I don't know, I guess it's like the stimulus to fatigue is like more favorable for the legs, like not destroying my back and not destroying my knees, and getting an even like actually feeling like I'm working my legs more than from a squat. I mean, maybe I just have bad form on the squat, or I don't know, but like I've never felt much in my legs from squatting. It's all like in my butt and my back. And my legs don't seem to get much work. So, you know, you don't need to like marry an exercise, right? There's like no mandatory exercises in bodybuilding, right? It's all about the movement pattern, right? So, you know, as long as you're like, you got knee flexion, you're working your quads, right? So, you know, leg press, sissy squats, whatever, you don't need to do squats. And I think there's a lot of like dogmatism surrounding squats, like, oh, it's the, you know, everything else is subpar, like insert Tom Platt's clip or whatever, right?
Yeah, Tom Platt.
Yeah.
All people saying that, bro, like, not all of them, but a lot of them, like, they don't even have like crazy squats. Like, I've squatted 405 for 6 at like 200 body weight in the past when I was like actually squatting a lot. And I think I did 405 for 5 at like 185. And I bet like a lot of the people that are like super squat superiority, like they're not even at that level yet. They're squatting 315 still. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on your goals. I mean, if you want to get really good at squatting, then yeah, obviously you got to squat a lot, right? But if you only care about how big your legs are, then do the exercise that's best at building your legs.
And you can maintain. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of that. Oh no, you go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of that dogma with, the barbell basics, it comes from like the powerlifting realm. It's like I think a lot of it is from, a lot of bleeding over of the two. And obviously, it's like you said, there's no one movement you have to do with bodybuilding. If you want to work the quads, as long as you got some of this going on, your quads are going to grow. So, and I see people do the same thing with bench press, barbell bench press. Like, you got to do the barbell bench press to get a big chest. I remember hearing that so much when I first started working out. I used to work out with like football players at my school, and it was all bench press. If you're not bench pressing, how you going to get a big chest, bro? Like, what are you doing, man? You don't need to do that. And I think people lose sight of it's the movement pattern. As long as you're doing that, you get the results you want.
Right, absolutely. So speaking of benching and chests, I know we covered this extensively in the previous podcast, but I feel like this is going to be one of those evergreen tentpole topics on the channel, the flat chesters. I know, Herc, you wanted to discuss this. So what's your take on the flat chesters?
Well, you got to get a big chest, man. Like, it's, everybody, I feel like I'd be disingenuous if I was like, oh yeah, get a flat chest and I've got this fucking gorilla chest over here. So, you kind of back me in a corner, my guy. But, I think, get whatever the goal it is that you want. Like if you just want to have a flat, athletic, we'll call it an athletic chest. That sounds better than flat chest, but please, flat chest. Then go for that. Yes, I swear to God, I've never seen an athlete with a big chest. So they have a point. They do have a point. But at the same time, I think that's, correlation doesn't equal causation. Like, and I think a lot of that is going on. But either way, I personally do think a bigger chest is more aesthetic than a flatter chest. And I think Aidan said this in the last podcast. A lot of the people that are, I'm not gonna say a lot, but maybe some of the people that are preaching flat chest, maybe saying that because they haven't been training long enough to get a bigger chest. So it's kind of this, oh, well, I wouldn't want to be a millionaire because, who the hell wants all that money?
Yeah. More money, more problems.
Yeah, exactly. All that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so, if flat chest makes you a woman, then, Herc, you are the most feminine lady on this podcast. Congratulations. With your double D cups, right?
Oh my God.
I'm glad we have double Ds. Doesn't that bother me?
I feel like when they say that, it's just a cope, man, because they see guys that are more masculine than with a big chest, and it's kind of a way for them to like tear them down to their level. Like, oh well, you're actually not masculine because you have tits. It's like,
yeah. It really is. It really is. it's like, or for example, in Aidan, you may have got this. If you have like big arms, something like that, or big or much bigger arms than what the average person has, it might be like, oh, your arms are too big. Like I've gotten that from like people before, and it's like, you can't have no arms too fucking big. Like, oh, like, I'm gonna do like my CT Fletcher voice. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what kind of MC squared, you know, flip, turn the lights off shit is that? Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that is absolutely just people trying to like bring you down to their level, right? Or just simply people like not even understanding like what bodybuilding is or what we're trying to do. You know, I mean, people just don't get it. But I think mostly it's just people see you look amazing, see you look strong, see you look jacked, and they just want to be like, you know, they know mentally that requires a lot of work and they're not willing to do it, and so they'll just rather like tug you down and be like, nah, I don't want that anyway, right? And that's just that's just how they cope.
That's like when you say to a girl like, oh yeah, I didn't want to go on a date anyways, like right after she rejects you.
Yeah,
it's like, bro, exactly. we know what you you know you wanted to.
You're not. You want my type anyway.
Yeah, I don't like you anyway, bitch.
It's the same vibe.
Absolutely. So we had a topic here. Greg Doucette keeping people small. I think this had to do with main gaining. What are you guys' takes on main gaining? I mean,
wants to touch on it.
You want to go first?
Herc, you were very small. Did you when you lost weight?
He definitely did not main gain. I'll tell you that.
You were fat.
By looking at
lost weight, and then you were kind of small, and now you're 100 pounds heavier. Did you main gain 100 pounds onto your body?
Yeah, I just ate at Mcknight's and just lifted, and the muscle just appeared. You know, or his words. You just took a shit ton of tren since the age of 10, and that's how you got the way. This main gain, you take tren. That's how you got it. But no, I've never done the main gain thing. Like I said, this gonna sound crazy. I naturally eat in like a bulk. Like especially with like the way that I train like in a very high intense to failure and, you know, a good amount of volume, stuff like that. That I'm usually starving by the end of my workout. So, and I know not everybody is like that. So, you know, some people, you know, their appetite might not scale with the amount of work that they do in the gym. But I've always been one of those people that if I train hard, I'm ready to eat up everything in my damn kitchen. So, to me, I've built most of my mass through basically a clean. Well, I can't really say clean bulk because when I was a teenager, I didn't eat a lot of clean food, but through a mixture of clean and dirty bulking.
Right. Well, not to take us off the main gaining topic, but I think that is like an interesting sort of genetic trait that is probably pretty favorable for like getting big in bodybuilding. Because like, you know, you say that you've always had a big appetite and obviously you were like overweight when you were younger and stuff. But like me, and I know Aidan as well, like I was extremely skinny. I was like almost anorexically skinny, and even now I don't have much of an appetite. And like for me, just to get up to your body weight, like you know, forget muscle and body composition, like just to get up to your body weight in any means possible for me would be extremely difficult. Like if, you know, someone gave me like $1 million as like, you know, you got to get up to 220 pounds or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm sure I could do it, but it would be like torture for me to like eat that much food, whereas for you that just comes naturally, right? So
yeah, I could be even bigger, you know, it wouldn't even, you know, from a fat standpoint. Yeah,
right. Yeah, so I think that's just interesting how much of a difference genetics that can make for your physique, like just the genetics for how much of an appetite you have, right? Because obviously the amount of food you eat dictates like how big your body's going to be at the end of the day. So
right, all that ghrelin and leptin signaling. Yeah.
You're motivating me to like get my ass in the kitchen and start eating some more.
Hey, the good thing about bulking is you don't have to do it the clean way. You can always, I imagine they have, you know, McDonald's and stuff in Spain. Yeah. So, you know, that's a great way to bulk if you want to, you know, get the calories.
CT Fletcher bulk.
Yeah, exactly. CT Fletcher. Anybody get a heart attack?
What was it like? Yeah. What was it like? He had like 2 Big Macs 3 times a day or some shit like
I
that.
don't know what video you're talking about. Yeah. He was like, oh man, you bringing me back to like I think I first saw that video. It was like probably like 2011. I was probably like in like middle school, and like I saw that and I was like, this is what you got to do, like straight, like the Cali muscle, like top ramen in the prison. I was like, this is what it takes. Let's do it. But yeah, it was like double cheese and like a big thing of like fries and like you have like apple pie. It was like all this fucking food or whatever. Like after each workout for like 20 years that he ate that or whatever.
Yeah, sounds healthy.
It catches up with you. Like I could definitely see that working, but yeah, like the
it gets the job done, but it clogs your arteries too. So.
Yeah, there's definitely something to it about like these like junk food, the hyper palatable food. Like it's so much easier to eat. You know, like 500 calories of McDonald's is like infinitely easier to eat than like 500 calories of boiled chicken and broccoli, right? Like it's you know, or like frozen pizza and like packaged foods and all this stuff. Like you can just sit and like snack and eat so easily and just get like thousands of calories in. But you know, it's not going to be exactly the same. I mean, for your health, it's going to be absolutely disastrous. And also your body composition, you know, I mean, not all calories are created equal, right? And it's not going to be, you're not going to look exactly the same eating, you know, 3,000 calories of McDonald's a day than you are, you know, 3,000 calories of actually healthy food. But it is an interesting strategy to explore for people who just literally have trouble eating enough, right? I mean, maybe you got to sprinkle a bit of that tasty food in there and, you know, get those calories in somehow, right?
That's what I had to do.
Yeah.
Especially when I was like 17, 18. Like I was not going to be able to get big if I didn't eat like that. And then it's funny because I saw like a David Lade video and it was like him and like his buddy Quinn. And they're like, oh, you guys have to just eat 5,000 calories. It can be whatever. He's like, don't just straight up eat pizza, but like you need to put some junk food in there, all that stuff. And then I hadn't heard anything like that up until that point. And then I saw that video and I put on like 15 pounds of muscle, like within like a year. So I was just simply not eating enough. And yeah, so maybe that advice isn't the best, but for me, like I needed to hear that at the time. So.
Yeah, I mean, for skinny, like skinny teenagers or anyone who's skinny and is getting started lifting, like eating is like one of the most important things you can do is like eating enough, being in a calorie surplus, right? And so to have like possibly the biggest fitness influencer on YouTube telling people like as a blanket statement, telling his audience of millions of novice lifters that they should all just eat at a calorie maintenance all the time. I mean, it's literally keeping people small, right?
It's keeping at least 1 million people small.
Yeah. His subscribers, it's keeping them fucking small. Because like, and like the go off of that, you know, part of me wonders like if he even believes that or if it's just like
me too.
You know what I mean? Like it's like so ridiculous. Yeah, because like everybody been doing bulking and cutting. This has been going on probably since bodybuilding was a thing. So you know. I just think it's ridiculous to tell people, especially like skinny teenagers, to eat at maintenance and just train harder than last time eating at maintenance, and you're going to build a ton of muscle. Now, I do think that if you are like obese or overweight, then yes, recomping is the way to go starting out. I do believe that because, you know, you don't want to just eat in maintenance and you're already 30% body fat. But I mean, I'm sorry, eating a surplus and you're already 30% body fat. But I do think to start. Yeah. So, you know, I think because I know at least for me, when I first started lifting, because like I said, I was overweight. I actually did recomp. I think I went to the gym. I was like 21% body fat, and I lifted for about 6 months, and I got down to 16% body fat, and I put on muscle in that time, my newbie gains or whatever. So it can happen, but once you do that initial recomp, it's time to go on a boat. And once I did that, it was like, boat.
Yeah. And that works if you're like fluffy, because you have the energy stored in your fat cells that you don't need a surplus. But if you don't have those energy stores on your body, then you need to put it in with the food, right? Like it's just so obvious, and like it's funny how Greg Doucette is like the biggest preacher of calories in, calories out, which obviously we all agree with, right? But like he preaches this constantly, like, oh, calories in, calories out, calories in, calories out, and then at the same time he preaches main gaining. Like it seems like those are like two diagrams that just yeah, like how can you reconcile those two opinions? And like no one agrees with him. Like, does anyone agree with, in the fitness industry, does anyone agree that you can be skinny and build muscle at maintenance, you know? I don't know.
I mean, you can build some. It's like, if you wanted to play devil's advocate, like, yeah, you can build a couple pounds of muscle, but you're not gonna put on 30 pounds of muscle through main gaining. But you can do that over a few years if you bulk and just bulk.
Yeah.
You know, I was gonna say bulk and cut, but like usually like in the first couple of years you can get away with just bulking that whole time. And you know, if you main gained, maybe you would have put on like 5 pounds of muscle, and you know, if you bulk, it's like 20, 30, who knows?
If you start at like 130 pounds or 125 pounds and you main gain, you can main gain for 7 years and you're still going to be 130 pounds, right? Like that's the only that's the only.
Do you want to recomp at that body weight? You know, I mean, I started out like 135, like skinny fat, and I was just eating a bunch, and I got to like 155 lean. And you know, if I would have just tried to maintain that weight, because you know, main gaining sounds like maintaining the weight, right? I don't know exactly what he defines it as, but if you maintain that weight, there's not much wiggle room to do anything. And then, you know, like how much muscle can you gain? Like, are you going to lose? Like, you're going to go from 12% body fat to 8% body fat? You're still going to be 130. Like, is that worth it?
And whenever you bring it up,
I don't think anybody has ever not. At least nobody natural has ever done. I don't think anybody natural has ever done that main gaining shit. I really don't. So, at least not to the extent that Greg Doucette pushes it. So
yeah, and maybe it works for Greg because he's not natural, you know. And like, I'm sure that he bulked at some point in his life. He wasn't born the size he was. He got to the size he is with a calorie surplus, right? So, you know, he bulked at some point to get to his size. It's just physics, right? And then now he's preaching to other people not to do that.
Seen him ballooned up. Like, yeah, he could try to deny it.
He did.
And big as hell before. Yeah, when he was, you know, doing his little 1-inch ROM sumo deadlift.
World
How many times 405 in a minute? Whatever it was. Some very good record, very impressive, but you know.
Something like that, man.
They made that record like just for him to have a record. I swear to God. Like, who did that before him?
I'm not gonna lie, I never heard of it until he brought it up on his channel. I was like, okay, that's a freaking thing.
But I think he does have like a legit bench record. It's like he didn't get that just eating like a bird at maintenance. Like, he probably ate, you know, a lot of shit to get to that.
Or surplus.
Yeah.
You don't bench 500 plus eating clean. Let's just say that. So.
And then whenever you bring up the main gaining and you try and like debunk it, you'll always get the Greg Doucette fanboys in your comments telling you about how you know that's not the real definition of main gaining. And if you're skinny, then Greg says you shouldn't main gain. That you should get up to 15% body fat.
Which is not even true.
He
doesn't say that.
He does no. His definition.
He said Max Doucette should have main gained. It's like,
well, don't even be starting on that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I think that like triggered all of us at the same time when we saw that.
I think it did, because like when I remember I watched the video on like Max Doucette, and don't even be started on like the whole genetics, like his view of like genetics as a whole. I cannot think of a person I disagree with more when it comes to that than Greg Doucette. And you know, it's like the main gaining thing. I'm sure we'll get into it later, but you know, he's like Max Doucette, you know, a bulk. That's a what did he say? That means
code.
that you really attack with something like that.
Yeah, it's code.
That's just code.
Yeah, that's code. Yeah,
bulking is trend.
Yes.
But I mean,
it's like so fucking ridiculous, though. Like, that's just. I don't get it. Like I said, I don't even know if he believes half the shit. I think he just said it for you. I really do. There's no way he's that damn dense.
Trying to stir the pot.
Yeah, like the Dylan Mcknight. You got to say shit that nobody agrees with, so that when you get a lot of angry people in the comments calling you a fucking idiot, and you get views. I really think that's what he does.
With that short that he made, the thing that I didn't like about it the most, because I kind of watched like half of it, and you sent it to me, and I was like, oh, this is weird. And then I watched it again and watched the whole thing. I was like, he's trying to like sell his program at the expense of Herc, just because he looks insane in his profile picture, and he can just claim, oh yeah, he's not Natty. It's like, oh, if you want to be a natural lifter, don't listen to him. Listen to me. Buy my program. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's where he lost me, dude.
Yeah, listen to me. Even though I'm smaller than him, listen to me. My program's better. Don't listen to that guy though. Like I was thinking about this like earlier today. Like in no other profession would you see somebody that is more qualified and think that they're less qualified. Like you wouldn't have a doctor that's done 100 successful surgeries. You wouldn't choose a doctor that's done no successful surgeries and be like, oh yeah, that's the doctor that I'm going to get, because that other doctor, I can't trust him. He's been too damn successful.
Too good. Yeah,
he's too good. It's like only in like the fitness realm is it like reversed. It's like you can be too qualified to talk about something. And I get where it comes from, because a lot of people give out shitty advice even when they look jacked. So I get where it comes from, but it's still kind of weird that dynamic exists in like the fitness realm.
Yeah,
I think it's because of the type. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
It's like the type of people that are watching Dylan Mcknight's content. Like it's not advanced lifters and stuff. It's all like beginners that they've never seen a guy like Herc, and they go, oh, that guy's definitely on steroids. Yeah, Dylan, go. You're so noble. But it's like you don't even know the guy. You didn't even click on his channel. Like at first when I saw Herc, I was like,
videos. You ain't watching the transformation video.
I'll be honest. Yeah, when I first saw your physique, I was like, holy shit, like that guy's natural, no way. And then I looked at his videos, saw him talking about stuff, saw his from like 14, to 16 to 18. And I saw it and I was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, I think this guy probably is natural. Like, obviously I don't know, but I'd put like $100 on it. Like, so just they see that one picture and they didn't like take that extra step that like, if you look at someone's stuff, and assess. So they're beginner lifters. They see Dylan's physique, and his physique has like somehow gotten worse recently, and maybe that's why everyone thinks he's natural now, because he's getting accused of being on gear when he was lean. So, yeah, it's such a slippery slope. I think he's like trying to look more natty. I don't know what he's doing.
You're ridiculous. I'll never do that. Like I know I joke with you guys, and like I'm not going to work out for like 3 months for the podcast, but I think that honestly, if
August, bro.
What were you gonna say? What'd you say?
No, I was just messing with you. I was saying don't mog us, but you've been doing that for an hour, so.
Oh my God!
Is what it is.
No, man. Hey man, let me try to look small.
We're just all like, you got to go like this, and then we got to go like this.
Exactly. Like
no. It's like never apologize for being great, and
right, like you put in the time and the work, like there's nothing to apologize for.
Yeah. So, if people can't believe it, then they don't have to. Like it shouldn't matter whether you're natural or whether someone's natural. Like what they do, it's like if you're basing all your training on one person, anyways, you got it all wrong. So
absolutely. And I tell people that on my channel, I'm like, don't even just take, like if I say something, I can only go off of my own experience. But if you listen to my channel, Natty Life's channel, Aidan Insula's channel, everybody else's channel, then you can formulate, your own type of training. And that's why I tell people you need to individualize training to you, because you can't just listen to one person.
Experiment and see what works best for you, right?
Yeah.
You can't just
people don't want to do that though. They want somebody to give them.
They want a quick fix.
Golden. Oh, this is the way. This is the optimal way to train. I hate that word. Yeah, there is no such thing as an optimal training, because we're all different human beings.
You just need the best supplement, bro. You take like the best supplement, and that's it. Like that's how you get.
Right. Take this whey protein, and that's what you were missing, man.
You need that special creatine.
Yeah, the exact creatine I bought.
Break the test progesterone, and then you'll get big.
Oh my God.
which doesn't actually
That's
have
a
any
lot of
testosterone.
right there.
Came out like fraud.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of finding what works best for you, Herc, what do you think about like Gigabrain training versus like Unga Bunga training? Are you like more of a bookworm kind of trainer, or are you just like a get in there and put the work in kind of train?
Man, I'm not gonna get the political correct answer on this. Honestly, I kind of believe in doing a mixture of both. And I know that's not the YouTube, and YouTube need to say inflammatory shit like
Cop out.
nobody wants to hear nuance on YouTube. They want to hear it's always like this or it's always like that.
Yeah.
Bullshit. And even my professors, they'd always be like, everything depends when it comes to fitness. But honestly, I do a mixture of both. I would say my training always hinges on the fundamentals, which is, progressive overload, training hard, doing enough volume, being consistent, stuff like that. And I never really focused on too much on like the, what's the word? Like the real super science. Like I've never been the type to lift and be like, oh, I'm doing this bicep curl, and what if I super physiologically, twisted and pronated my pinky up at a 90-degree angle and then did a 15-second eccentric.
Yeah,
like I'm never
crazy about the biomechanics and stuff and the angles of the fibers and all this kind of stuff.
Because at the end of the day, that shit doesn't fucking matter. Like, and I have a degree in this. I know it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's cool to know all that. Don't get me wrong. I even watch videos on that. The science and stuff like that because I think it's interesting. But at the end of the day, like nobody's getting jacked because they did this crazy sciencey thing that nobody ever thought about, but somebody that did a study in a textbook. Like my type of training has always been like intense. I've always made sure I did enough volume, so different exercises for each muscle group, and I've always made sure I was recovered before each training session. So I'll schedule my training sessions to fit my recovery needs, which that's going to be different for everybody. And I've always basically just said, okay, if I'm getting stronger with progressive overload for reps, generally 8 to 12. I know the super high rep range that nobody trains in, even though people train the rep range for like 70 years. But either way, 8 to 12 or 6 to 12. I've always been in that pretty much 6 to 12 rep range for all of my lifts. And just did that consistently and did it hard and made sure to add weight to the bar or reps as I was able to. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I
really
think
is that simple.
Yeah, it is that simple. Yeah, people like to overcomplicate it a lot, and they try and make fitness out to be something much more like complicated than it is, but it really isn't. I mean, maybe if you're trying to get like the absolute 110% out of your physique, or I don't know, but in general, if you just get in there, you work hard, you do it consistently, you're gonna get results. You just gotta do it for a long time, like do it for 5 years, 10 years or something, and
5 to 10 years. And I think a lot of people, the problem that why they don't get jacked, other than consistency, that's probably the number one thing. But second to consistency is they don't train hard and they don't focus on progressive overload. Like they just go to the gym and they do like some circuit that they found, from some influencer. I'm sure Aidan knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure you too, Natty Life. And it's like just nonsense. Like it's like something. It's like 15-minute ab and arm circuit. And they do something like that, and then they do it for like a year. They don't get results, and then they go to YouTube comments of, "Oh, you have a great physique. You took roids because I worked out for a year and I didn't get great results." Then you look at their training, and they have no idea what the fuck they were doing because there's like this idea in like the general population that you don't want to train like a bodybuilder because you're gonna get too big. And I even saw Natty like a video on this. And it's like fucking ridiculous. Like if you want to, like most people's, from at least from what I've seen being in the gym for so long, their goals align more with bodybuilding than they do with whatever, crazy, routine that they're following is promoting. but they don't want to do the bodybuilding because it's so stigmatized that you're going to look like Ronnie Coleman after 3 months of lifting or whatever.
Yeah, I love this topic. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, like as you say, exactly. Like most people, the goals that they want, they usually want more muscle and like less fat, right? And that's how you make your body look the best possible, right? And the best, most efficient way to do that is by like bodybuilding training and a bodybuilding lifestyle, right? It's not by doing this stupid like aerobic, like just cardio workout, or you're doing like this shit with a band or like some stupid I don't know, like these weird like
towel, bro.
Yeah, the towels or like kettlebell workouts or stuff. Like, those all have their place and they work. All this stuff, like, they have their uses, but it's
cardio, great for cardio.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like the best way to change the way your body looks and make it look better for most people is to actually do bodybuilding training and to do it properly with progressive overload and tracking your workouts and training hard, training close to failure and everything. And I found that from the people I've spoken to around me in real life, I don't go to a gym, people know, so I don't like talk to a lot of like gym bros, but just from the people I've spoken to, I know no one in real life that like does progressive overload in their training. I know no one that like tracks their training. I know no one that has a program or anything, right? People like everyone that I know that exercises.
Watch their sets too. Like if you go to the gym and you watch other people's sets, bro, like almost everybody has like 8 to 10 reps in the tank when they finish a set.
Minimum.
And like once you see that, and then you see the people that are huge, like they're usually like 1 or 2 reps shy from failure, or they're going to failure, and then you can kind of see like where the issue is, So
you see where the divide is based on
it's an effort issue. Yeah.
It is an effort issue, absolutely.
So speaking of the gym, Herc, did you have some gym stories you could share with us? I don't know if you have any off the top of your head.
I do. I got plenty of gym stories. I'll tell you one of the very first gym stories I came across. Like I said, I first started lifting when I was around 13, but I don't count that because I had no idea what I was doing. That was pretty much my year of just doing what I saw football players at my school do. Because like they were bigger than me, so I was like, they obviously know something. And I mean their advice wasn't good because they weren't doing it for bodybuilding, but. So anyway, I remember one day I was going to the gym. My parents had dropped me off there, and there was this. He wasn't a football player, but this big dude. I mean, huge arms. Probably had arms like as big as mine. Looking back at it, but at the time, my little 13-year-old self is like looking at him like holy shit, like he could have told me to jump in a circle 3 times to get or whatever, and I would have fucking done it. Yeah. And I remember I walked up to him and I asked him, I was like, man, like, what do you do for your arms? And like, I'm like a sponge. I'm like, whatever he told me to do, I was going to do it. And he was like, I kid you not, this is literally what he told me. He was like, oh yeah, just grab these 5 to 10 pound dumbbells and just do hundreds of reps each set, more reps the better, and just do a couple sets of that a couple times a week, and you'll get big arms. That was literally his fucking advice. Like nothing about progressive overload, nothing about like who the fuck even does
workout.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. And the crazy part about it is he actually would be doing that. So he actually, I don't know if he built his arms like that or not, but
saw him in the gym doing it.
Do what?
You saw him in the gym doing it?
Yeah. That's why I originally walked up to him. I was like, what do you, because I swear to God, every time I saw him like doing curls or whatever, it was always like the pink dumbbells, like 5 pounds. I swear to God. Arms at least as big as mine. But I swear to God.
That must be steroids.
I don't know if he steroids or not. Looking back, he had to be training that fucking crazy. But yeah, he told me to do that. I did that for a couple months. Obviously, it didn't fucking work. Your arms will be burning on like set like rep 300, and you're like, holy shit, I got like 700 more reps.
Rep 300. That's like a 20-minute set, bro.
I was like, I'm gonna pick these big arms, man. But it was a fucking take, and it was the worst advice I ever got.
You're like 300 reps into your set. You're like, I can't leave 700 reps in the tank. I gotta keep going.
Right. I'm a bitch if I do that. I can't do it. You gotta go all out.
Yeah. But I mean, that's gotta be like, if someone legit trains their arms like that and gets like arms your size with like the pink dumbbells and doing 1,000 reps, I mean, that must be steroids, right? Like, it's
gotta be. It's
like,
gotta be.
Because you just got the steroids running in your blood, and you get a pump, you send the steroids into the muscle, and the muscle grows, right? It's that simple.
If you steroid blood, it just gets into the muscle, and it just doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it works for him, because like, I didn't, I can't say shit. It worked for him, but like it was fucking crazy. I swear to God, every time I saw him, that's what he was doing. I swear to God, like I never saw him lift like above like 10 pounds for arms.
I wonder how many people he told that, and now they're just like doing that shit for the rest of their life.
Like 15 years ago, he would have been great friends with Greg Doucette. It'd have been like, both of them could keep people small forever, because like he just did a really good job.
The dynamic duo.
Yeah, the dynamic duo of keeping people small. Greg Doucette's main gaining advice is his advice of get big with just do thousands of reps, whatever exercise you do with super light ass weight.
Oh my gosh.
So, Herc, I wanted to ask you, I know you get this question often, but have you had any plans to compete, or do you see yourself competing in bodybuilding in the future?
See, I do get this question a lot. Honestly, people at my gym will ask me a lot, because I go to like a bodybuilding type gym. I thought about it, and I'm not going to say I won't ever do it, but just looking at the fact that there's not really a lot in it. Like, especially in natural bodybuilding, even if you do go the fucking enhanced route, there's nothing in it.
Unless you're at like the very, very top of the sport.
Yeah, unless you're like obviously you're Chris Bumstead or something. Yeah. Obviously you're gonna make bank, but there's only one Chris Bumstead, and just for the amount of time that you have to put in, and it's obviously not healthy to get to that kind of low level of body fat anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't see it being worth it. So I don't see myself doing it at least any time in the near fucking future. Maybe I'll do it like in the future when, if just for shits and giggles, because I literally can't think of any positive reason to do it other than, saying, hey, to maybe tell my kids one day, hey, I did a bodybuilding show when I was, 30 years old or 28 years old or whatever. But as of right now, I don't have any plans of doing it, no.
Right. And just an interesting thing I thought there, like, it is really very, very few people that actually make money off of bodybuilding. And it's like that in any sport, right? It's obviously only the people at the very, very top of any sport that are making money, and the rest of the people are just hobbyists. But the difference between bodybuilding and all the other sports is, like, all the other sports, you don't necessarily need to do like a shitload of steroids just to be competitive in it, right? So like all these people, like 99.9% of people that are competing in bodybuilding and making absolutely no money out of it, and they're just like blasting steroids and destroying their health and disfiguring their bodies, taking decades off their life and getting nothing in return. Like, that's pretty rough.
Absolutely insane. It's really insane, like when you think about it. But you're right. Like in no other sport would you have to subject your, you might have to subject your, like an American football. You get hit by people. You might have to subject your physical body to punishment, but you don't have to actually take drugs to perform in that sport.
Yeah, hockey or basketball or whatever, you can join a league and be competitive in your local little region thing. If you enjoy the game, but like bodybuilding, like you need to use steroids if you want to get on stage and be competitive with the rest of the people. And even if you want to go just to a natural show, you still need to like shred down to like a brink of death level. Right. So, like, even if you want to do it naturally,
probably have the muscle in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So, even if you want to do it naturally, it's still like an incredibly unhealthy process. Like, it's just so sad to me, like and that should be the pinnacle of the sport. That should be what all of us should be striving towards, But like, it seems like the biggest naturals, like true naturals, they have no interest in competing. And how sad is that, right?
Like the 50s anymore. Like, they can't just hop on stage with their good physique. They'd have to go skeleton mode and then hop on stage. Like, they don't even want to show that to the world. I mean, I know Alex Leonidas is competing soon. I'm actually excited to see that. But
is he for real?
You know, yeah, I think he's competing, and even he knows, like, he's gonna have to go death mode. You know, like, he's gonna be gone in the face. Like, he's gonna be smaller. I mean, he's still gonna look crazy, but yeah, like, a lot of people just don't even want to go through that. So
yeah,
it's a lot of suffering for very little in return.
Yeah, it would be awesome if the standards changed, but yeah.
Yeah, if they said you can be 15% body fat and do the bodybuilding show, then yeah, that'd be much better for natural bodybuilding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably I'll try it out in that case.
yeah, you wouldn't have to kill yourself to get up on stage. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit actually about genetics. This is probably number one thing I freaking get.
Love this.
When because people always say stuff like, whenever they see somebody that's jacked, and I've seen this with every YouTuber, like, does this, especially like in our fitness realm, when they see somebody else that's jacked, whether it's Max Lucida or Matt Does Fitness or anybody, they always immediately revert back to, oh, that person must have amazing genetics. I can remember being like in like elementary school or really even like middle school. And obviously I'm African American, so I went to more like an inner city school with mostly African American kids, and I don't want to like the whole, do African Americans build muscle more than that, because I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know if I believe that stereotype that's been pushed out for so many years. But
that's an excuse.
I really wanted
a lot of people saying that. A lot of people saying that are just looking for another excuse.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen that.
Truth to it. Like, they're not using it to talk about the science. They're using it to go, oh, well, he did it easily, and they're using it as
right. I'm not black. He's black, so of course he would look like that. Because we all know everybody that's black looks like Hercules fit. But I can remember being in like elementary school or even in middle school, and there were kids that were literally started off that didn't even work out. Like, had more muscle than me starting off, and all they did was like play basketball and eat Doritos all day. And I say that to say that I think that genetics play a part in how much, and like your overall like ultimate potential of how much muscle you could ever build. But I think that a lot of people are looking at genetics in a frame point of, there's nothing that they can do to get a great physique, and I think that that's a bad way of looking at it, and that's just not true. Because I know for sure, at least like with the example that I gave of those kids that were just naturally more muscular than me, and they didn't even fucking work out. I'm sure they probably never had an interest in bodybuilding. Maybe just wasn't something that they wanted to do. But I know for sure if they would have trained like me for 10 years doing a program even remotely similar to mine, they could have at least gotten my physique either earlier, or for sure they could have gotten my physique because they were starting off with more to begin with. And I've seen lots of kids like that, black, white, Hispanic, all different races. So I think that people need to get out of this mindset, this black-pilled mindset that your genetics are the only thing that matters when you build a muscle. Because I can tell you, like we talked about earlier, your training ultimately and consistency is what is going to get you jacked in the long run. I don't think it's not going to be your genetics. Yeah, obviously, if you want to be at the pinnacle of you want to be the most muscular person in the world, obviously it's going to be genetics. But just to get jacked, it's not your fucking genetics. It's time, effort, consistency with doing the right exercises over that long period of time. So that's all I want to say about the whole genetics thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack for that in the comments. They'll be like, you're fucking wrong. It's all genetics. But I don't believe that.
Oh, we'll get those comments, and you can't tell them anything because they're just not going to listen. Yeah. So honestly, whatever. If someone comments something like that, like, it is what it is. Like, nothing we say, like, even if it makes perfect sense to us, like, they just don't care.
Yeah, I think we've discussed this several times before, and I think we just can't discuss this enough because I get so many of these comments, so many of just people saying, "Nah, it's genetics." Like, I get this one guy who, I'm not gonna say his name because he just like, it seems like he's looking for attention, but he comments on like all of my videos, and you know, I talk about these old school bodybuilders, and like every video is like, yeah, they only look like that because of their genetics. You will never look like that. You shouldn't even try because you will never, ever look like that. You won't even look like the worst Bronze Era lifter that you've ever shown on your channel. You will never look like him because of genetics. And it's like, I've got so many of these comments, and I just can't believe that people have this attitude. Like, hundreds and hundreds of comments of people just say, nah, it's genetics, it's genetics. Like, they look like that because of their genetics. And it's like, the thing keeping that person in their state and not being jacked is not their genetics, it's their mindset of thinking that it's the genetics, you know? Just if you have that mindset where you think, if I have this shit genetics, I'm not gonna get there, then you're not going to get there. But it's not because of your genetics. It's because you think you have bad genetics, and so you don't even try, right? Like, unless you're literally like bedridden or something, like some kind of disability. Like if you're an able-bodied person, and even many people with disabilities can get amazing physiques, but if you're like an
I saw that the short you did do muscle dystrophy, yeah.
But if you're an able-bodied person, you have no excuse. And you know, you as Herc said, you might not be the most muscular person on the planet, but you train for 5 or 10 years properly and a calorie surplus, I guarantee you're gonna look amazing in the end, you know? So just stop with the cop-outs, people. It's just pathetic, absolutely pathetic, you know? I mean, I could look like this after just like a year and a half of bodybuilding. What am I going to look like in 10 years? And I thought I had shit genetics, you know? So, yeah, it gets me quite passionate, the genetics topic. Every day I'm reading comments from people just coping about genetics. It's really annoying.
I think it's pretty crazy because, like, you know, I think about like a lot of, because I talk to like a lot of older lifters that are like, you know, 50, 60 years old and lifting weights their entire lives. And like, I would be willing to bet that mindset wasn't there then because there was no people on to listen to tell you that. It was like you saw the magazines or, you know, you talked to, you know, people at the gym or whatever, and you just put in the work and that was it. And, you know, and obviously, you know, we're all on YouTube and I love YouTube and stuff like that. But I think that's one negative part, at least, of that some people in the YouTube sphere have capitalized on this black pilling. It's your genetics. Why you'll never look like, you know, insert Greg said, you'll never look like that without that's top.
You will never look like him. Yeah, bro, it's literally all just for them to sell shit. Like that's the bottom line. It's like
you're right.
Money is evil. I mean, it is what it is, you know. So
that 4 year
will do whatever they can for it, so.
That's genetics. You'll never look like that. But no, they freaking trained hard for 4 years. Like,
actually, if you buy his testosterone,
that just like mind blows me. Like nobody is like if somebody is that's like saying you can't play the piano and you're like, well, it's my genetics why I can't play the fucking piano. But if you and the person that plays piano really well, oh, it's their genetics. No, it's that they practice like 8 hours a day for like multiple years. Like that's why they play the fucking piano and you don't. It has to do with your genetics. It has to do with time and practice. So I don't get I don't get it, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it pisses me off as well.
And this isn't to say like either that genetics don't matter at all, but like when you're starting out, you're a beginner, it's like, yeah, they kind of don't matter because like you can get an above average physique with like the shittiest, maybe not the shittiest genetics, but like you can have pretty bad genetics, and there's people that have good genetics that don't train and they're just sitting on the couch.
Right,
like
exactly.
Person with bad genetics,
that's the world sitting on the couch. You're just a fat motherfucker on the couch with good genetics. Or you know, if you don't eat a lot, and skinny motherfucker on the couch with good genetics. But you know what I'm saying? Like people just have this like predeterministic mindset of like everything that we do is based upon our genetics, and that's just fucking ridiculous. Like it's based upon like Natty, like say your choices, and like you said, Aidan, just going to the gym and doing what you know you need to do. But it's hard, and people don't do it, so then they default back to genetics, and people like, you know, Greg Doucette, and I know we keep picking on him, but he ain't the only one. Or people like that just feed them that they feed them
they want to hear.
They want to hear.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Have you guys tried any testosterone?
No.
Yeah,
I heard there was
I ordered all of Greg's stuff on. I ordered like 15 bottles.
15 bottles of air.
Yeah,
apparently that's what it was.
I think it's called like Ecdy Builder now, right? Like it's not even called Turkesterone
Oh,
anymore because it's like doesn't have Turkesterone in it.
I thought that was so fucking hilarious. Like he's selling Turkesterone, but it actually didn't have Turkesterone in it. But gave it 5 pounds. I was supposed to be taking Turkesterone. Like fuck out of here.
Oh my god.
Have you guys seen that he's selling dick pills now?
You told me about that, but I didn't look into it.
I can't. I saw it. I didn't know that's what that was. Because I kind of like zone out when he's like talking. I did not know that he's actually selling dick pills now.
Yeah, because you know, Harder Than Last Time is like his brand, right? And I mean, Harder Than Last Time, right? Like it's like a good branding, and that's what it's called. The like on the bottle, it just says Harder Than Last Time, I think, or something like that. So.
Oh my god.
That's
funny. I'll give him on that. That's pretty funny.
He's a businessman. I'll give him that. He knows how to sell.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta pay for that Lamborghini somehow.
Right? It didn't even work.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you guys have any more topics? Herc, do you got anything else you want to throw out there, or should we wrap it up?
Can't think of anything off the top of my head unless you guys got something.
All right, great. Well, let's call it there. I think that was a very cool podcast. Greg, if you watch this, sorry, man. You know, we're just talking shit on here.
No, he'll comment. I made a video of him and I had like 10 views on it. He's in the comments. This dude, he finds videos with him in it. I don't know how he does it.
Well, Herc, thank you very much for coming on, bro. It was very cool talking to you. Quickly, you want to like plug your stuff? Where can people find you? You got a website, you got a YouTube. How can people find you?
Well, thank you for having me, man. Yeah, just Hercules Fit on YouTube. Work Over Wish on Instagram. Follow me there. If you actually want to buy some programs at work, HerculesWithVic.com. And I'm not going to post you to look like me, so please don't take my shit thinking you're going to look like me. I am not going to say it yet. If you want to check those out, HerculesWithVic.com, Hercules Fit on all of my socials, except for Instagram, just Work Over Wish.
Perfect. And yeah, check out Aidan's channel, Aidan Insua. And yeah, see you guys on the next Natty Talk podcast. Give us a flex. Give us a flex. Come on, boys.
Oh man, I can't. I'm not gonna do it, man. I can't. I'm not.
Come on.
I can't even see it.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Get mogged. Get mogged. All right. See you guys.